We want to show that the building code determines construction types and sprinkler requirements. And that the Wildland Urban Interface Code is a construction, show how it is a construction code. And that the Wasatch County Building Department is charged with the enforcement of all aspects of construction and are one of the most qualified for that. The Wildland, the state of Utah adopts in the state construction code, it adopts the Wildland Urban Interface Code as a construction code in state statute. Wasatch County, in Title 14, creates a building department. The Department of Building Safety which is charged with the enforcement of codes. It is charged with the inspection process of all phases of construction in Title 14 of the County Code. And it also, in Title 14, it adopts the construction codes. In the construction code, in number 5 of that code is references the 2006 Wildland Urban Interface Code. As in the building department, Department of Building Safety. The building code it determines the types of construction that buildings will build out. Every home or every building has a building type of construction. Your homes all have it. There's 5 types. There's type 1 and type 2 construction. Type 1, type 2 construction are fire resistant construction or concrete, steel, masonry buildings. Type 3 construction is masonry buildings with wood construction inside or wood roof, wood interior walls. Type 4 construction is heavy timber, log walls, 6x8 columns, that type of heavy timber material. And type 5 construction are all materials that are permitted in the building. There's the type 2, type 3, and type 5 construction allows for additional protection, for 1 hour protection. That is with spray white fireproofing or fiber drywall. They can go in and increase their fire protection. It gives them better benefits than the square footage allowed. Chapter 9 of the International Building Code and Chapter 9 of the International Fire Code are the same. That chapter's fire protection systems. Chapter 9 of the International Building Code requires sprinklers. It's based on occupancy type. So based on the occupancy types or square footage is when the sprinkler requirements come in. Sprinklers are allowed as a trade-off for 1 hour rated construction. So our building square footages, you get increases if you put sprinklers in, added draft stops, and it gives increases in travel distance. We've got some examples of a somatic draft stop issue that we have.
We had a building in Jordanelle that when the architect drew the building, because during the construction with truss roofs, it's sometimes real hard to put draft stops in, and draft stops are required in the building code. But the code allows, if you sprinkle the attic, then you don't have to put the draft stops in. So the architect specified that they would do a NFPA 13 sprinkler system, which requires sprinklers in the attic as an alternative to the system. When we got there on 4-way, the fire department, they weren't aware of that requirement, hadn't checked the plans, and they'd allowed them to do an NFPA 13 system, and the developer contractor, they had to, at their cost, had to change the construction, had to remodify their sprinkler system and meet the code, which cost them a lot of additional money because they had to basically tear one system out and upgrade to the other. And that's kind of where we're getting at a little bit, is when you have too many cooks in the kitchen, sometimes you have problems. And so,
so based on a little bit about that, just explaining that the occupancy types will determine the sprinkler requirements. Group R is a residential group. It says it requires sprinklers, but the state of Utah amended requirement for detached 1 and 2 family dwellings and multiple single family dwellings, townhouses that are built to the international residential code. So if they're built to this code, there is no sprinkler requirement for that. It's been deleted.
Even in the urban interface area.
I'm going to get to that in just a second here. So HB 316 this year come out, 15A-1-403. It gives the county council as the legislative body, the political subdivision of Wasatch County, it gives you guys the ability to adopt ordinances. And it gives you the ability to adopt appendices of the fire code, that was 2015 edition, and fire sprinkler ordinances in accordance with 15A-5-203. At this time, there has been no ordinances adopted. Wasatch County is not doing this. An authority having jurisdiction built to the International Residential Code may require. Not says that we have to, it says that we may require sprinklers if we have an ordinance, only by ordinance, and only if. Now there's 5 things that we have here that can kick in to require sprinklers, if we have an ordinance, if we want, if the county council shows like that. The structure is located in an urban wildland interface area. So if it's in the area, but it also says, and does not meet the requirements of the wildland area. We have a code. So if they build in that area and meet that code, we can't require sprinklers based on that way attachment. Number 2, the structure is in an area where a public water distribution system with five hydrants does not exist. So if the county feels like they want to have an ordinance that where we don't have fire hydrants, then we have an ordinance. Right now the county does not. Number 3, the 10% grade for greater than 500 feet. Continual feet. If they want to have an ordinance for that, then we need to have an ordinance that requires sprinklers. So that is the question. 5. Now this is a new one. The total floor area of all floor levels within the exterior walls of the dwelling unit exceeds 10,000 square feet. So if the county council feels like we want to have an ordinance to require sprinklers for anything over 10,000 square feet, you can. But it's not required. And also then there's another one that says if the house built in a subdivision is more than 2 times the average of the size, anything under 10,000 square feet, then they can require sprinklers. By ordinance, which is taken. A little bit about how the Wildland Urban Interface Code works. When an applicant applies, they apply for a permit, we require that they fill out a fire hazard study. This form goes through and it gives them a score. And this form is checked by us to make sure that it is in compliance with the area. It gives them a score that's going to require to tell them what their hazard is, whether it's moderate, high, extreme. And this is going to determine the physical space and the construction type that's going to have to be built to in these areas. So if we have a home that scores in the moderate hazard, we're going to have a 30-foot defensible space. High hazard is going to be 50 foot, and then extreme hazard is 100-foot defensible space. And then based on our score, we go to the emission-resistant construction, our defensible space. If we have a conforming defensible space, we get our emission-resistant construction. If we have a conforming water system, if we have a non-conforming water system, then we get higher emission-resistant construction. And there's a footnote there on the bottom. Footnote E that I just like to point out to that table. That talks about footnote E that says a non-conforming water supply is any system or source that does not comply with section 404, including situations where there is no water supply for structure protection or fire suppression. So basically this is saying this code is giving them the same type of protection as if they had some water system. But they're doing it with construction and defensible space. A little bit about the ignition-resistant constructions types. They start out with 3 as being the less restrictive, and they go up to 1, and they kind of build upon each other. All of the requirements are the same in each one, but they get more restrictive. So Class 3, we have roof coverings have to be a Class A roof, which is specified in the building code. And there are situations where Class A roofs there's an assembly that has to be put together based on the type of shingles they use for wood shakes and that type of stuff. Protection of decks. They have to either be enclosed to the ground, 1-hour construction, or heavy timber construction. It talks about vents and the requirements and openings in the foundation, soffits. And then those items go. We add more. We'll talk about appendages again and projections, decks. Exterior walls have to have the rating on the outside of the fire resistance. So it gets more restrictive the higher we get in construction terms. Ignition resistant 1, again, this is more of the same requirements, but a lot more restrictive on the code requirements for the construction of the home. The Wasatch County Building Department, we have over 75 years experience in inspection experience in our office.
Divided between 3 inspectors.
And we feel like that for the taxpayers of Wasatch County and for the applicants, that it's more efficient for one department to do all the construction inspection and reviews. It's just more efficient for us. So in summary, the Wildland Urban Interface Code is adopted as a construction code. Wasatch County Title 14 has adopted it as a construction code, just as the state of Utah has adopted it as a construction code. And it is charged in Title 14 to the building department to enforce that code. State code gives optional guidelines. They give us the guidelines for residential fire sprinklers as in the construction code. They give us the guidelines where it is. At this time, Wasatch County does not have any of those requirements. The Wildland Urban Interface Code is a construction code with building requirements, roof assemblies, construction types, emission-resistant construction. They're being built and built into the building as we go, as we inspect the building. The Department of Building Safety is most qualified for all instruction. Again, we have over 75 years experience in our office with the 3 inspectors we have. We propose, as the Wasatch County, as per Wasatch County Owners Title 14, all inspections within the envelope of the building are the responsibility of the Department of Building Safety. Fire department will be responsible for the subdivision approval, water main design, road widths, road grades, subdivision firewise programs, etc.
That's the defensible space around the building.
That's the subdivision requirements after the buildings. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions for Ken or Robert? That's all.
I may after we get done with the I've got a few, but I want to see it.
Okay.
Maybe I can say one thing, just to tie up a loose end that we had from last time. There was an issue, between the two, the fire department and the building department, concerning that house in Timber Lakes and also Black Rock Ridge. And the council asked Councilman Farrell and myself to meet with the building and the fire department, which we did. We had a very good discussion there, and believe that we went through everything, and the building department showed pretty much that everything was done according to the building code. Is that correct? You'd see it. I know that was an issue that was brought up last time there. I just wanted to tie up that loose end from last time.
What we did find is that we need a better communication between the building department and the fire department as related to the building inspection, because the plans for the building permit wasn't part of the fire sprinkler required. There was a stamp on it, but there was no comment made. Where on the other building permits, whenever it's required, there was a comment
We
made.
can speak to that. There is an issue with that, so we can address that.
So hopefully with this process that we're going through tonight, we can kind of work together and create a better communication system between both departments. Kind of our long-term goal that way, short-term goal, I should say. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up, and we found a few things that we can benefit from and improve on. So, yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Robert Quinn? Or maybe again, maybe we'll have some after the other presentations. If not, we will go to item 2, fire department presentation.